All right, back with you. It's hour number 3. Darren Smith, San Diego sports leader, the mighty 1090. Here for about another hour or so. San Diego State, just another boring week up on the Mesa. Another couple of victories, one against Fresno State, one against UNLV. I think the program that most identifies the current rival for San Diego State. I don't know about that. Let's ask Brian Dutcher. He is the associate head coach. He is the head coach in waiting. San Diego State is ranked 7th in the country. They will play 2 games on the road this week, starting in San Jose at San Jose State. On Saturday, they will play Utah State, both games to be heard on the mighty 1090. It is always our pleasure to say hello to Dutch. Hey, Dutch.
Hey, Darren, how are you?
We're doing very, very well. Not as well as you guys. 7th in the country now. How exciting is this?
How about that? Just keep climbing the polls. It's a great thing. So we know one thing. If we win, we'll continue to climb, and if we drop one, we'll probably fall.
Do you consider UNLV to be your rival? Talked about this a little bit earlier, talked about it a little bit yesterday. I mean, if you were to identify one program here, I always think, it has to come from your own conference here. Who would you identify as the rival for the Aztecs?
It has to be UNLV. Even though we have 2 in-state teams now with Fresno and San Jose in the conference, and UNLV has Nevada in the conference, I think we would consider each other our greatest rivals. And I think that changed, Darren. I think when BYU was in the league, I think you could have a coin toss on that because it seemed like it was always UNLV, BYU, and San Diego State in that little triangle battling each other.
When you have a rivalry game like that, and everybody knows what it means to their fans, I see it a lot of times on social media between your fans, between the show, and their fans, whatever it is that they call themselves. Is there anything different about that from a coaching standpoint when you are facing your team that you consider to be your rival?
Yeah, I think you get a little bit more up for that game. Like Coach Fisher said, we had a great stretch against them. 8 out of 9, 9 out of 10, we'd won. And then they had beaten us 3 straight games. And so obviously there was added incentive for us to go out and try to play our best game of the year against them. And I don't know if we did that. We played maybe one of our better defensive games, and we were fortunate enough to come out with a victory against them.
Talking to Brian Dutcher, associate head coach in waiting, San Diego State. 2-0 in the polls now, inside the top 10, ranked number 7. You're going to travel on the road to 2 places, and stop me if I'm saying something that's incorrect here, Dutch. You're going to play in 2 places here that I don't know that you've ever played in before. Is that right?
Never been there. Never been to Utah State or San Jose State to play games. So I'm interested to see what the venues are like. Obviously, San Jose State is kind of reconstructing their program. They've got a team that half their shots are threes. So we're a little bit concerned with that. You saw what Creighton did yesterday. They made 21 threes. So we don't want to run into a buzzsaw where all of a sudden they're making every shot they take. And then obviously we go to Utah State, which is supposed to be one of the greatest environments in the country, sold out for most every game. There'll be some argument that they think that they started the I Believe chant. They do it as well as anybody. So I'm interested to see their version of I Believe that we will win.
Now, wait a minute here. All right, I was going to ask you about just going on the road and playing in places you'd never played before. Not that that's a big deal because you guys already won on the road at Kansas this year. But they lay claim to the I Believe chant because I actually, the first time I ever heard that personally, and I mean in person, I saw that at an Army-Navy football game like in 1999. So I had known that it had existed in college athletics before people saw it at San Diego State. What do you mean that Utah State claims that?
Now, I don't know if they claim they started. I think I've read articles that I think maybe it was a Navy thing.
Right.
But I think they definitely claim they had it before the Aztecs did. So now all we're going to claim is we do it a little better.
So they're accusing you guys of copyright infringement.
You see, now look at you stirring up a rivalry already. I'm interested to see their version of it. I think what the Aztecs do, from what I understand, our student section does a great job with it. But I think when you go to their building, their entire crowd does it. So I'm interested to see if that's true or not.
What's your favorite thing that the show does? I mean, you get a courtside view of it all. What's your favorite thing? Is it the I Believe chant, or is it something different that they do?
Well, it's obviously, for me, it's the I Believe because that's the one thing I can hear. It's before the game starts. But from what I understand, some of the humorous things they do during the game are really funny, and I wish I had a chance to enjoy them, but usually as coaches, we're so focused on the game, we miss out on a lot of that.
Oh, really? So you don't get a chance to peek over there and catch a sign, one of those great signs that a member of the show puts up from time to time?
You know what, Darren? Honestly, I don't. I don't get to see them, and I don't pay much attention because I'm so worried about what our next possession is going to be, what the opponent's going to be doing. So I'm I'm pretty singularly focused on the game at that point.
All right, all right. We're talking to Brian Dutcher, associate head coach, Aztecs traveling. They're playing on the road. So is there anything to it about playing? I mean, again, you've already proven that it probably isn't that big of a deal because you've already won at Kansas. But when you go on the road to play at San Jose State and at Utah State, is there anything different that you do just to prepare?
I don't think so. Not really. The best thing about our program right now is we're into a routine. You know, and because we're 7, we're not going to do things different than what we did before we were ranked. And it's all about the routine. We get out there, we stretch at 70 minutes on the road, we go through our same warm-up. We try to make every game the same in preparation so that we have the same feel going out of the court for tip-off. So we don't do extra shooting at some places. It's all about routine, and we have a pretty good routine right now, and we're trying to stick with that anywhere we play.
You guys were 2-0 during the week, as mentioned. You win against Fresno State at home. You win at UNLV on Saturday afternoon on national television. Josh Davis, I thought, had a very interesting week. Now, you win both games here, but he is 0 for 8 against Fresno State, and he missed some point-blank shots. I think you would agree with that. He comes back against Vegas and played, I think, arguably his best game as an Aztec, 5 for 10, 14 points, 14 rebounds. Was that a coincidence that he had the kind of shooting performance he had on Wednesday night, and then he was that much better on Saturday?
You know, Darren, it's like if you're a golfer, it's like putting. You start missing the 1-footers, and all of a sudden they seem like they're 8 feet long. And against Fresno, Josh could not get anything to go in. I'm sure he was frustrated more than anybody by that. But he's a hard worker. He's got a high motor. He just keeps grinding, working, and he got something to fall against UNLV. And so he's got, I think, the nation's longest double-digit rebound streak right now. I think it's 11 straight games of double-digit rebounding. And I think the fans at times early were frustrated by Josh's, missing some shots, but they've grown to appreciate what he puts into every possession of the game. He's such a workman-like player that even if he's missing shots, his contribution to the team is immeasurable.
Does a guy, though, I would think anybody with pride doesn't like looking at a stat sheet and seeing 0-8 there in a box score.
No one wants to see that,
right.
Obviously. So I thought it was great that he bounced back the very next game and got some of them to fall. And, I think Josh is working hard at finishing better. I mean, he's taking it stronger to the basket, trying to draw more contact, not shoot the floater as much. And, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. And so he's working on his game, trying to improve it in every aspect.
You held UNLV to a season-low 52 points for them. It's not the first time, and I don't think it'll be the last, that you guys hold a team to a season-low in points. Do you know off the top of your head how many times you guys have done that?
You know what? That would be a Mike May question.
Oh, I asked because I have the answers to this.
You have the answers.
I do.
You're setting me up. Okay, go ahead. Give me the answer.
UC Riverside, San Diego Christian, McNeese State, Kansas, and UNLV. And at the time of the game, it was Arizona and Creighton and Washington and Colorado State, and there was more. And now they've since had other low performances here. But 5 games so far. Is that becoming a goal for you guys here? You checking out the stat sheets?
You know what? I don't think we are. I think we're just trying to, it's cliche, but it's true. We're trying to play every possession. And that's an easy thing for a coach to say, but the hard thing with defense is sometimes your offense affects it, where all of a sudden you miss 2 or 3 shots and you're frustrated by your offense and you can't get that out of your mind as you're running to the other end. And I think that's where we've done a great job trying to get the kids to play every possession. Hey, we might have missed 6 shots, but don't let that affect us at the other end. Play every possession. Put the past mistake out of your mind as quickly as you can. We can go back at film and we can teach at that point, but when we're playing, we're playing. So I think this team has really done a good job of that they're able to play through some offensive frustrations and continue to keep their focus on the game at hand.
It's an interesting question, Dutch. And, certainly you're not going to have a lot of people overanalyzing your program at this stage of the season because you're in, you're 7th and you're on this 15-game winning streak, which is the second longest in program history. But, it's an interesting question that was raised is that you guys play such great defense that people sometimes overlook where you are offensively. So, who knows, but how far can defense take you in the NCAAs? I mean, how far can your defense take you this year?
Well, I think it can take you a long way if you get the right matchups. The tournament, it's a lot like any playoff situation. How well, if we get to that point and we're fortunate enough to get a decent seed and play in the NCAA tournament, what is the matchup we play against? I think matchups are so important in basketball. Is the style of play similar? Do you have strength the other team doesn't have? And so it's hard to tell in the playoff situation or in the NCAA tournament situation what your defense will or won't do for you based on who you match up against.
Yeah, I mean, Sports Illustrated came to town and did a story on you guys, and I thought that they raised a really interesting question. You know, that you guys are so good defensively here, and it leads to your offense, but it can't help but be brought up here that offensively, you guys probably have to get a little bit better. You know, the whole point was, you could be looking at a Final Four here, a Final Four team in San Diego State, or a team that just might not have enough offense to get out of the first weekend, that you guys really are an enigma. How comfortable are you with the way you guys are playing?
Yeah, you know what? I think the thing that we do that maybe gets maybe overlooked is we get to the foul line a lot.
Right.
So we're not shooting a high percentage, but when you look at the end of most games, we've shot more free throws than our opponents and we've made more. Now, maybe offensively that'd be the greatest thing that we could do as a team is to improve our free throw percentage. And I think it's slowly going up. But even though our field goal percentage is low, we put a lot of pressure on the defense by attacking to the rim, and we get a lot of foul shots. So I think if you were to average some of that in, you'd say, well, maybe they're a little better offensively than I thought because they get to the foul line. And usually that's winning basketball. If you can get to the foul line more than your opponent, and a lot of times we do it double what they do, then that wins a lot of basketball games.
Well, Dutch, it should be an interesting week on the road at San Jose State tomorrow night, Saturday afternoon against Utah State. Both games to be heard on the Mighty 1090. As always, we appreciate your time, and we will talk to you next week.
All right, Darren, looking forward to it.